There are still very, very, very important races going on in this country. There's still battles being fought at the local and state level. We still have some wonderful, wonderful candidates who we need to send to Washington if we're going to have our views represented. And one of those candidates, a terrific guy, Chris McDaniels of Mississippi. How are you, sir?
Hi, Mark. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm doing great, and thanks for running. And we're not going to get into all the sleazy stuff that your opposition is trying to drag you into, and the media and so forth. We want to stick with the big issues because this is how you're going to win the race on the big issues. Tell us, you reject what's being done with these massive deficits each year, the massive debt every year. And this, among other reasons, is why you're different from your opponent, Thad Cochran, isn't it?
That's right. He is the largest spender in Washington, D.C. He's been an appropriator his entire life, and he's never been a spending bill he didn't like. And that's one of the things that causes me the most concern here. We actually have to start planning for the future. I have a 2-year-old. I have a 7-year-old. They're worthy of constitutional government. They're worthy of fiscal restraint. And that's one of the things we have to bring to the table. The adults have to enter the room again and to begin to make tough choices if this country is going to survive. And Thad Cochran has been unwilling to do that.
And the other thing, or there are other things, the other thing is this issue of securing the border. The man's been in Washington forever.
Yeah.
And he really hasn't led on anything except spending. He hasn't led on a single principled issue. And on this issue of amnesty, as an example, he's been there, as I say, forever. Has he fought to lead the fight to secure the border? I mean, securing the border is a national security issue. It's a local issue. We got Jeff Sessions fighting like heck. Where's Thad Cochran?
Well, he's been absent, it seems. Senator Cochran hasn't led a charge that we can find against the Barack Obama administration. He's been silent for a long, long time, and silence in this environment is complicity. When it comes to the border, certainly, he's been very, very quiet. He's been unwilling to sign the pledge to make sure that we actually take action to stop illegal aliens, and for that matter, to never, under any circumstances, grant amnesty. So I consider his position to be somewhat weak on the issue, and I know that twice he's voted against building a border fence, for example. And these were votes that...
Whoa. He voted twice against a border fence?
He did, yes.
So in other words, he favors appropriating except when it comes to securing the border.
Apparently so. That's exactly right, and that's been the case for a long time with him.
Well, honestly, I mean, I spend my days, it's part of my job, observing what's going on in the country, not just Washington, but Washington for sure, and I never see this guy leading a battle or making the case for liberty or private property rights or the Constitution. He's like almost in the witness protection program. We never hear from the guy.
Yeah, you don't, and that's a problem. Mississippi is the most conservative state in the republic, and it needs a fighter, a strong principled conservative who's not afraid to stand. And lately, we haven't stood for very much, and that's true for the party as a whole. We have to find our backbone again. We have to be that party of bold colors, not pastels, as Reagan might say. And it's time to restore not only the party, but also this government via our Constitution.
I'm very troubled that the usual special interest groups in Washington, D.C., the crony capitalists and others, who really rely on government to undermine their competition or government to pass laws where you and I and the taxpayers of Mississippi and the rest of the country subsidize them, are so full-throated in support of Thad Cochran. They're very comfortable with him. I feel they think they have a big investment in him, business as usual, the status quo, and they're concerned about you because you're a Reagan conservative and you've had enough of this.
That's right. We all have. We're tired of the crony capitalism. We're tired of the favoritism. We want justice to be blind. We want it to be fair, and we want America to be returned to a land of prosperity. And we can't do that under the current system. It's just not working. And it's funny, we all know in Mississippi that our country's heading the wrong direction. That being the case, it's very important that we change who we send there. That's the only way we can change it.
Mm-hmm. And this is probably why they're trying to change the subject with you, isn't it?
Well, yeah, he does not like to talk about his record. There's no question about that. He hasn't been to Mississippi very often. He hasn't discussed it with us at all. We've been trying to talk about his record. We've been asking him for a debate, and he will not agree to debate me.
All right, wait a minute. So he won't even debate you?
No, sir, he will not.
And the polls are close, right? So he has every reason to debate you and demonstrate his genius.
He should. He should, absolutely. If for no other reason, the people need to hear the debate. They need to understand the difference between the philosophies, one being that of a Reagan conservative and the other being that of a Rockefeller Republican. It's the same fight we've seen in our party in the past. And it's very important that conservatives have this debate and Republicans have this debate so we can choose what type of party we are going to be in the future. But right now, he's not willing to have that debate.
How are you doing money-wise? I know they're pouring tons of money into Thad Cochran's campaign. And by the way, isn't it interesting that in your race and the other race, it's every single incumbent they want reelected, and every single person who is anointed by the ruling class in Washington they want elected, they don't even support a fair battle. So they're trying to load up as much money into your race and run as many ads against you, a lot of smear ads. How are you doing in terms of fundraising?
Well, we can always do better. We're doing great, but naturally, trying to close the deal, we want to raise as much as we can, and we're asking for help all across the country. Likewise, volunteers from all across the country are coming to Mississippi. And it's something we need. We need the conservative base to mobilize here because we're about to make history in just a few days.
Mm-hmm. What is your website?
McDaniel2014.com. Just McDaniel, McDaniel 2014.com.
And when is this primary? It's next week?
It is, June the 3rd. June the 3rd, so a week from Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. So it's very close. What's the polling show?
The last two polls we saw were public polls that were released last Friday. We were up by 7 in one of those polls, up by 3, or up by 4 in another.
And they're legitimate polls?
They appear to be. These are Citizens United and another Tea Party poll, and what was great is they showed our top number to be identical, which strikes me as being somewhat accurate. So we believe they're accurate, we believe it's fine, and we're very excited about the future.
But isn't this why now they're throwing as much mud as they can? Your campaign has not been involved in sleazy games and anything of the sort. You have law enforcement down there who has said as much, and yet Thad Cochran is running ads trying to drag you guys into a scandal. He
is, and it's all a part of not wanting to discuss the record. His record is 42 years worth of bad votes, 42 years of liberalism. Even the American Conservative Union gave him a D- for the Barack Obama administration. If that tells you anything, that is tied with the lowest Republican score of any Republican senator in the U.S. Senate. And
so let me get this straight. He's got a D- tied with the lowest in the U.S. Senate, and the man's from Mississippi?
Yeah, that's correct, and that's why it's so alarming.
And are the people of Mississippi being made aware of this?
Yes, they are, and that's the reason the polls are the way they are. The voting record has come out. We talk about it. We discuss it. It's been the primary focus of our campaign, and the people are responding because of that.
He sounds like a New England Republican, and by the way, I don't mean in my audience. I mean these elected mushmouth Republicans and our conservative friends in New England know exactly what I'm talking about, but that's what he sounds like.
He does. I had someone tell me the other day that he would be a great senator in Maine, but not from Mississippi. And the reason for that is pretty obvious. Mississippi is a very conservative state, and Maine is not.
But let me get this straight. So he won't debate you, and the reason is why? What reason do they give?
They haven't given a reason. They really haven't.
Don't you get the sense? You're a state senator. You're a serious candidate. You're raising money. You're a very attractive candidate. You're principled man, and so this isn't some fly-by-night campaign. You're not some fly-by-night candidate who just crawled into this race and so forth. And this is a huge election, and the man won't confront you because he doesn't want to address ideas or his record.
That's right, and that's troubling. And that's why we've asked him every chance we get to come debate. We want to talk about the record. We want to focus on these votes and focus on policy. And so far, he's not been willing to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to reiterate my strong support for you because we need you in the Senate for the sake of my kids and everybody else's kids out there. We've got to send some more conservatives in. I know this is a big game in Washington with the ruling class and the Chamber of Commerce. They just want to see how many conservatives they can prevent from coming to Washington. But you have a real shot at it. So I just hope all you folks in the country, I hope you'll be keep your chin up. You'll get spirited about this race in Mississippi, and you'll support our friend Chris McDaniel. Go to my social sites. We link up to his website. By the way, Chris McDaniel, we have now invited Thad Cochran on the program. Mr. Producer, they don't even respond to you, do they? They have not responded to us. So I would like to talk to Thad Cochran after 42 years he's been in Washington, but like I say, he's in the witness protection program. We can't seem to reach him.
Hey, maybe you could bring us both on at the same time. We could have a debate on your radio show.
I would love to do it. Mr. Producer, send them another email. Tell them I will, and it'll be a professional debate. I'll act. I won't take any side. We'll give each side opening monologue, and we'll take questions back and forth. He won't get a bigger forum than this. Excuse me. So, yeah, my guess is he won't.
I don't think so either, but it's worth a try.
All right, Chris McDaniel. Listen, don't let these guys drag you down. Just keep battling away. I know you will, and God bless you.
Yes, God bless you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
All right, good luck. That's McDaniel2014.com. Take a look. Take a look. McDaniel2014.com. That guy is a class act. He's a quality candidate. There's a lot of dirty tricks going on down there. Some people did some very stupid things, and they were not on his campaign. They were not, involved in his campaign. But the Cochran campaign and all his supporters, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, they're trying to drag the McDaniel campaign into it, trying to suggest that they were involved in it, which they were not. So we have many, many listeners in Mississippi. We hope you'll do the right thing. We need your help. By the way, Kansas, we need your help. A lot of states out there, South Carolina, and we have congressional races. You need to send the infantry in. We need help. The whole country needs help. Folks listening in California and Illinois, folks listening in New Hampshire, all over the country, when we talk about these different races, we need your help in Mississippi and other places. So, and by the way, folks, you can help too. Go to that website and see what you can do. In essence, even though these are national elections in states, they're national elections. I mean, look at this guy, Pat Roberts. Pat Roberts lives in Northern Virginia. He works in Washington, D.C., and he pretends to be the senator from Kansas. I mean, if he gets reelected, the people of Kansas aren't respecting themselves, in my humble opinion.